Sheriff's office. I do smell something.
This was a slaughter. Make no mistake about it.
And what did you find when you got inside?
All right, I got her feet right here. This is weird, dude.
First thing I noticed was the rose petals everywhere.
Something I've never seen before. I definitely thought that whoever killed her brought those flowers in.
Now, the stunning court case making big headlines.
It's the last time you talked to your sister. And then she was gone.
She got a young daughter that's 9.
So you had to tell her that her mother was dead. And her response was, who did it?
I have great fear for my daughter's safety. Why do you think I left the country?
There's been a custody battle.
Where were you when Christina was murdered?
Italy.
But at this point, I'm getting worried about where we are. I really don't know if I want to comment more if this is what I think it is.
Rarely do you ever have a murder where you get to see the bad guy walk through the front door.
This isn't your typical murder that you see.
When I walked in, there was a smell like a pesticide smell.
The whole thing seems surreal.
Sheriff's office.
I saw like a flower rose tore up.
Absolutely impossible.
It makes utterly no sense.
Many of us just were shocked and amazed about the capacity of someone to cause such destruction.
This was the manifestation of hate.
We've come here to this quiet suburban street in South Carolina to cover one of the strangest crime stories we've ever come across. It's a story of love, betrayal, classical music, murder, a crime scene strewn with rose petals. And it all began at this house on an October morning in 2021 with a 911 call.
Grable County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Canebrake Drive. I think I might have a death. Walked in my fiance's house. She wouldn't answer my call. There's a very weird smell, and I can't get her to come around.
The man making the call is 65-year-old Bradley Post, a local retired engineer. His 41-year-old fiance is inside the house.
And he basically said he had found her and he needed help. He needed an ambulance. He needed law enforcement.
I said, if I ever, what should I do?
Is she breathing?
No.
And we're going to start CPR, sir.
Okay, I think she's gone.
You think she's gone?
Yeah, because somebody might have shot in the back. I don't know.
Like somebody had shot her? Okay, all right.
No.
And tell me why you think she's dead.
So she won't respond.
She won't
eyes
respond?
open.
Eyes are
No.
open? All right.
There's a lot of blood.
And a lot of blood. Okay.
Yeah.
And so they dispatched law enforcement immediately, ambulances. And so he just continued to give as much information as he could to 911.
So it looks like somebody may have broke in and shot her in the head.
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, I understand. Okay.
Who the over here now?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Get somebody here now.
I've got some people coming, sir. I have everybody coming. I'm sending the paramedics to help now. Step out of the house, and that way wait for the paramedics and the police at the front of the house and leave everything as you found it.
Master Deputy Chris Robinson rushes to the scene. He's the first to arrive.
And then when law enforcement arrived, Bradley Post is standing in the driveway of the house. So he talks to Deputy Chris Robinson with his body camera on.
Hey, man.
So when you pulled up, was he just like standing there waiting for you?
Yes, ma'am. He was just kind of standing to the side over here, just waiting. He was on the phone with someone.
How'd you get in the house?
You got to come home right now. Emergency. Come home. Just come home.
We just started talking briefly about what was going on inside. Basic info about when's the last time you saw her and last time you talked to her.
She went for a job interview. Okay. She left and came back. I called her, texted her twice. Yeah, just from like 9 o'clock. I got her on a tracker.
Yeah.
She didn't respond, so I went to the door, no response, so the back door is always unlocked.
Okay.
So I walked around the back door, and when I walked in, there was a smell, like a pesticide smell.
Yeah.
And I walked in, and I didn't see anything on. I saw like a flower rose tore up, and then I walked in the living room, and she's laying there on her back. There is a lot of blood.
Okay. Do you live here?
No.
You stay here occasionally?
I stay, yeah.
Okay.
I'm with her most days.
All right, do me a favor, just stand right here.
You went in the back.
You want to help me clear it real quick?
And what did you find when you got inside?
So I went in with another deputy. We started clearing. Sheriff's office. I do smell something. All right, you see what we got? There's a smell in here. All right, you want to hold right, and I'll clear this on the left. We didn't know who was inside. I barely see, and I could see her feet at that point, so I kind of knew what was going on.
All right, I got her feet right here in front of me.
Continued clearing, made it up to her, saw that there was no signs of life. We kept moving and cleared the rest of the house.
Yes, ma'am, we're clearing the house now.
Just to make sure there's no one in the house.
Correct.
Pushing in.
Sheriff's office.
Take one, I'll take the other. Sheriff's office.
I've been doing this 15 years, and it was pretty gruesome.
And what could you see happened?
First thing I noticed was the rose petals everywhere. I thought that was kind of weird. They were just kind of all over the floor. In no particular, not a pattern, it was just kind of everywhere.
This is weird, dude.
There was also a chemical odor and just a lot of blood.
A lot of blood. Could you tell that it was a stabbing or a shooting or?
I couldn't tell at that point. Our protocol is not to really touch anything. If there's no signs of human life, I don't have to render aid. We try not to contaminate the scene.
Was there anything else about that room that seemed odd to you?
You could tell there was a struggle inside the house at some point. Looked like she was pulled by her ankles or moved somehow.
Yeah, let's get out of here with that smell.
And then you came back outside?
Came back outside, kind of locked the house down so nobody in or out.
You just lock it down. Definitely not a death odor.
Anyway, I gotta go, Tina. Get home as soon as you can. It's the owner of the house, her sister is.
Okay.
Is she dead?
As far as I can tell, I'm not EMS, man. So, and this is your girlfriend?
My fiance.
Okay. What's her name?
Christina Lorraine Parcell.
Christina Parcell, a single mother of one who police quickly discover has not been shot, but has been stabbed 35 times.
We learned that she was a vet tech and that she was engaged to be married to Bradley Post. And the other residents of there were her sister, Tina Parcell, and Christina Parcell's daughter.
Son of a... She's got a young daughter that's 9.
Lead investigator Jared Sparkman arrives to the scene shortly after Deputy Robinson. When you pull up to the scene, what do you see?
There's a lot of deputies, investigators already here.
Describe to us this crime scene.
So it was very unique. First of all, you don't have many murders that are stabbings. You also see rose petals scattered around in the room where she's at. Something I've never seen before. I definitely thought that whoever killed her brought those flowers in.
People think of stabbings as really intimate, right? Did this seem like a fight, like this was a crime of passion?
That was something that crossed our mind, especially with the rose petals on the ground.
This was no ordinary murder because the nature of the crime was so close and personal, so brutal, that either somebody was really mad at this particular person or something went terribly wrong. Obviously, the first person that you want to talk to is the person that discovers the body. The fiancé of the person.
He's definitely someone that we want to talk to quickly.
What was he like?
Pompous. Always wanted to be the smartest person in the room or the richest person in the room, preferably both.
This 5-bedroom ranch house was home for veterinary technician Christina Parcell, her 9-year-old daughter, and her sister Tina, who says October 13th, 2021 was a typical busy weekday morning.
It was just so exceedingly normal.
Not a day you would have thought anything of.
Never. I remember every bit of it now. She had a job interview that morning. She was trying to find a job with more hours, better pay.
Did you see her that morning as she was getting ready for it?
I'm finishing my morning coffee sitting on the couch. We talked just normal people things. What have you got going on today other than your interview? I've got a hair appointment. Then I think they had gymnastics that afternoon. Okay, have a great day. You too. Love you.
It's the last time you talked to your sister.
And then she was gone.
So Christina Parcell had a very quick interview at a local veterinarian clinic.
Hey, I'm Christina. Nice to meet you.
We actually have a video of the interview. It did not last very long.
And she texted me, she felt good, it went well. So it was, talk me through your qualifications, et cetera, et cetera. Very short.
And then she drove back, and she returned back about 9:07. And we know that because she passes by a Ring camera 3 doors down, and we see her car pass by.
Meanwhile, Tina is at her office, 20 minutes away.
I was at work, and my phone says, you have a voicemail. And it was post telling me there was an emergency at the house, and I needed to come home.
Tina, this is Brad. You need to call me quick. There's a problem with Christina at the house. Please call me now.
So I call him back, and he says, you have to get here. I think she's dead. I'm like, what happened? He's like, I don't know. I can't tell.
So you race home?
Absolutely race home. I get there about 11:30. They wouldn't tell me that she was actually dead for the first hour, maybe hour and a half.
It's a tragic end to a sibling relationship that survived ups and downs, beginning with an incredibly close bond.
She was younger, I was older.
2 years apart?
2 years and 4 days. Our birthdays were 4 days apart, so we would have birthday parties kind of around the same time. We were each other's best friends, basically, growing up. She was smart. She was quick-witted, and she was kind.
Her sister says Christina loved running and gifting friends with her professional-looking homemade chocolates. And she had ambitions for a new career.
She had gone back to school for nursing. She seemed exceptionally devoted to her daughter.
Christina Parcell shared custody with her ex-boyfriend, John Mello. 5 months before her death, she and her daughter had moved into Tina's home in Greer, a suburb 12 miles from the city of Greenville. Greenville, South Carolina is a city nestled in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the U.S. It's known for its southern charm, its tree-lined streets, and its vibrant art and music scene.
We're a medium-sized city. We have more cultural and artistic offerings than someone might expect to see in a city of this size. In theater, in dance, in the visual arts, in music. Classical music is very popular here in Greenville. As you walk down Main Street, you'll see street musicians.
Good things they come to those who wait. And you hear some of the best music you would hear anywhere in the world. It is a wonderful place to come and raise children. It's a very safe place.
The neighborhood where the murder occurred is usually considered a very safe neighborhood. It's upper scale, low crime area.
And luckily we're able to solve the vast majority of our homicides. We have one of the highest clearance rates in the country.
But clearing the county's latest homicide could pose a challenge. Back at the house, police are scrubbing the crime scene for more details.
So one of the first things we do when we get there is secure the crime scene. Once it's secured, we call our forensics unit to come. With Christina, we collected her fingernails, we swabbed her hands, anywhere that DNA could have been left. Once her body is removed from the scene, we can really start searching that house for any clues and really kind of figure out what happened.
This was a slaughter. Make no mistake about it. 19 slices to the neck and face. That's personal.
Do you think she fought?
I hope like hell she fought.
Adding to the mystery, those scattered rose petals. Were there roses in the house before? Any idea where that came from?
No, I mean, it had to have been brought by the person that was in my home.
Leading to the question, who was that person in the home? Police first want to talk to Parcells' fiance, Bradley Post.
And I saw her sunglasses in the hallway, so
Yep.
it looks like she was surprised somehow.
Post is a retired engineer and business owner. He and Christina Parcells had been dating for 6 years.
He'd owned several businesses and sold them, retired. He's very wealthy. He drives fancy sports cars, lives in a big house.
What was he like? Pompous. Always wanted to be the smartest person in the room or the richest person in the room, preferably both.
You didn't like him?
No. He's very particular. He likes things the way he likes them.
Did she seem happy?
Sometimes. She was becoming less and less happy with Post and less enamored with the thought of marrying him.
2 days after the murder, once the crime scene was released, Tina and Bradley Post do a walkthrough with police. What'd you think of him and his demeanor that day?
He was calm, you know, he wanted to be helpful.
Anything unusual?
I remember him putting on gloves. He had on gloves when he showed up. He just said he's just trying to be careful.
Seems strange to you?
You don't see that much.
Did you find that to be weird?
No, because he was a fastidious, persnickety man. Didn't surprise me at all that he didn't want to touch anything icky.
While Tina may have found Post off-putting, it's another man she thinks police need to investigate.
I can only think of one person in the world that I would instantly think of would have interest in seeing my sister murdered.
I'm telling you, person of interest will be John Mello.
John Mello.
In the aftermath of Christina Parcells' murder, it's her sister, Tina, who's left to tell her 9-year-old niece the tragic news.
So you had to tell her that her mother was dead? Mm-hmm. She wailed. And she was inconsolable sobbing. I told her there had been an accident. Mommy had been hurt very, very badly, and she died. She didn't make it. And her response was, who did it?
When police talked to Christina's fiance, Bradley Post, after the murder,
Tell me about this other dude.
he immediately brings up somebody he thinks should be a person of interest. So you asked him, do you know who would do this?
Right, yeah. So I was like, do you know anybody that would be like our suspect in this or anything like that?
I'm telling you, person of interest will be John Mello.
And then he did mention John Mello's name at that point.
There's been a custody battle.
And what did he say about John Mello?
It was her ex, and they were having some issues.
With that, we started looking into John Mello.
John Mello says he's a music producer. He met Christina in 2004. He was a 43-year-old married father of 2. She was 24.
I'm not gonna guess now.
Yeah.
Speed?
Both cameras have it?
Yep.
Okay.
All good? So I guess let's start at the beginning. How did you come to meet Christina?
I met her at a cigar shop. We just became friends. She was, very intelligent, very, very beautiful, very fun, to be around. We just hit it off as people, in general.
Were you trying to have a relationship?
No, I was married. No, I just like talking to people. And throughout my life, most of my closest friends have been females. So it's just, I just, easier to look at. But no, not at all. It just kind of evolved later.
At what point did it become a romantic relationship?
I'd say 2009. Mm-hmm. My marriage was not good, so it just happens.
Mello and Christina dated for the next 6 years. So you had a discussion, decided you were going to try to have a baby?
Yes, yeah, planned it. No,
That's a little surprising to me because you were
married. It is to most people. Yeah, no, we planned her. She was born, phenomenal, and things were pretty good at the beginning, with all that.
But while things were going well with the new baby, by then, Christina had become estranged from her sister and the rest of her family.
Between April and May of 2010, my sister cut off ties with our whole immediate family. She sent a letter to my parents, addressed it to all of us. Dear Mama, Daddy, and Tina, I am severing the ties of discontent and unhappiness that have haunted my life. Leave me to my peace and my newfound life. Please do not visit my home, do not call or email, and most importantly, please do not worry. She had been with John for a year when she sent this. She was being increasingly cut off from the world around her.
So when you started to talk to her again, how did she explain that letter?
It's what John wanted.
The estrangement would last over 4 years.
When she came back to our family, we found out she had a daughter. My niece was more than 2 when I met her the first time.
By the time the child was 3 years old, relations between Mello and Christina were breaking down. So at some point you guys end up in kind of a tough custody battle.
Yeah. Yes. She became very combative and very untrustworthy.
Child custody cases are always intense. I would say that this one is probably up there, really, like a 10 out of 10. This one is probably as intense as they ever get.
In 2016, Mello is granted sole custody. Christina, just visitation. In court documents, Mello describes what he calls her erratic behavior and lack of consistent visitation, while Christina says she's afraid of Mello and doesn't earn enough money to support her daughter.
She basically relinquished primary custody to John Mello.
In the years that follow, Mello repeatedly contacts law enforcement and the Department of Social Services about Christina, accusing her of prostitution, drug use, and even child sex abuse.
2018-ish, my daughter had come to me complaining about her mom and Brad Post. She said they made me sleep in the same bed with them and all these things. I was just like, this is not right. So I went to the Greenville County Sheriff's Department and I filed a complaint.
The investigators that handled those cases found no evidence to substantiate his claims. Law enforcement, DSS, couldn't verify any of the information.
In the course of their custody battle, Mello is arrested and charged with stalking, and then harassment, accused of repeatedly making unfounded accusations against Christina. Both charges are ultimately dismissed.
John Mello, I can tell you that a lot of people at the sheriff's office knew who he was, and he was just difficult to deal with. He would always make crazy allegations, and then when you wouldn't take him serious, he would get angry.
It's 2018 when attorney Maggie Bailey gets a visit from Christina.
She came into my office to ask about possibly representing her to help her get expanded visitation with her child. She wanted to have more overnights with the child and to be able to be a regular mother. We were successful and she obtained more visitation.
She would do her visit weekends in my apartment. I got specifically a 3-bedroom apartment so she and my niece could stay with me and we could spend time together, go to the pool, go to the playground.
She would tell me how much she enjoyed once her time got expanded, how wonderful it was to be able to have her child overnight and spend time with her.
But then, in October 2020, the custody fight takes another explosive and, for Christina, terrifying turn.
It was time for her visit weekend, and John said, "We won't be back in time. I'll call you when I know more."
His message reads, "We are out of the country, phone not working. Be advised, we won't be able to fly back for Friday exchange. Sorry, more later."
She'd gone by John Mello's house, she'd tried to text him, she'd tried to email him, she'd tried to call him.
My sister reached out to the elementary school and found out John had withdrawn her from Greenville County School System.
She messages Mello, "Please tell me anything you can about where our daughter is. I'm scared."
She had no idea where John Mello and her daughter had gone. She was in tears because she was like, he's taken her, I don't know where he's gone, and I may never see my daughter again.
For Tina Parcell and John Mello, there's not much room for agreement, except on one thing: the strangeness of those red roses found at the crime scene.
It's just a hell of a lot of effort to create something so theatrical and intentional and rage-filled to send a message.
Tina even keeps an eye out for a special delivery at her sister's funeral.
I had the funeral home hold every flower delivery so I could inspect them to make sure no red roses were sent, because I fully expected some to be sent.
Why?
Because that would be a mean and cruel thing to do. And let's just be honest, mean and cruel kind of fits the whole bill for the situation.
For her, the roses add to her suspicion of John Mello. She tells investigators what happened a year earlier. In 2020, the custody battle between Christina Parcell and John Mello had become an outright war after he took off with their 8-year-old daughter. Christina has no idea where she is and frantically searches social media for clues.
She just poured over the internet and looking for everything, doing all kinds of searches.
And then Mello emails Christina, "Please do not bother people about us," saying their daughter is doing great. She is happy and healthy. It's just a new setup, that's all. New rules.
Christina had no idea where her daughter or John was. She didn't know if they were in the United States or overseas.
The first clue that she got was a picture that he had posted, and it was in kind of like a courtyard. It's surrounded by buildings, and you could tell that on the building that it was in Italy. You know, she had to blow that picture up in order to try to figure out what the sign said.
John Mello took her child to Italy without any communication to Christina about their intentions. He and Christina's daughter moved to Italy permanently.
She was inconsolable. She couldn't sleep, she couldn't eat. She called county police, she called the FBI, she called the State Department.
Mello claims he took their daughter to Italy to protect her from her mother.
I have great fear for my daughter's safety, and I always have. So why do you think I left the country?
That's why you took her and you went to Italy, because you were scared for her.
Yes. I have watched her entire life, her mother be a horrific human being. Provided evidence to everybody. And some people believe it, some people don't.
So when you went to Italy with your daughter, did you think that you were breaking any laws?
Absolutely not. I made certain that my custody order was written in such a way that there were no restrictions, that I do not have to have permission to leave, that the mother just has zero, absolutely no custody.
While Christina Parcell did not have full custody, she had visitation rights. She decided to attempt to get her child back through the Hague Convention.
So the Hague Convention governs international child custody disputes.
You went to Italy with your sister to get your niece.
She found out they had scheduled a hearing at essentially the equivalent of family court in Italy. And I asked her, "Do you want me to go with you?" And she said yes. So I instantly bought us 2 round-trip tickets.
This is video from their hotel room from the day before the hearing. Christina is on the bed.
She went to Italy twice. It was the second time that the authorities in Italy handed her daughter to her and told her to take her back to the United States.
The court rules that Mello violated Christina's custody rights, even if limited, and acted against their daughter's interest. It's a victory for Christina, 6 months after Mello took their daughter out of the country.
The family court in Venice, I'm not trying to sound the way it's going to sound, but they were all women. And her mom came and put on a very good show with the tears and the whole thing. And then they decided to let her go that night.
John Mello stays in Italy while Christina heads back to South Carolina with their daughter.
So when Christina came back from Italy with her daughter, she brought her into the office and she was just like all smiles.
This is literally the day after she got back. I took her to the playground.
But just 3 months after the joy of being reunited, Christina Parcell is blindsided again.
I walked into my office one morning and my paralegal was opening the mail and she goes, "Look at this picture," and it was a nude picture of Christina. It was really, I would call it a pornographic picture.
it's not just her attorney who has received the mailing.
The photos were sent to our house, Post's house, all of our neighbors, all of his neighbors, Christina's work, the guardian ad litem.
And Christina Parcell knew that the only person who had possession of these photos of her was John Mello. And they were taken when they were dating back in 2010 or 2011, when she was much younger. And there was also included in there a photocopy of an escort site. And it was claiming that Christina Parcell had been posting on an escort site as a prostitute looking for business.
None of the photos were connected to the escort site. They basically took a screenshot of an escort site and then copied and pasted the URL onto some private pictures that Christina and John had shared years ago.
These packages all came from Greenville or Tennessee. And so we knew the person who sent them out or who put them in the mailbox and prepared them had to be living in the Greenville area. John Mello was in Italy.
She said, it has to be John. She said, I just don't know who he would have gotten to send it.
John Mello says he didn't arrange for the mailings to be sent out.
Did you have those images mailed?
No, I did not. No, I had them from years back. And of course, my intention was when I get to the States in this custody case, judge needs to see her background. If you're in a custody case and you have photographic and internet evidence that the person in the custody case with you is prostituting online, you want the judge to see that. Yeah, I would absolutely was going to use that.
There was no evidence that suggested that Christina was a prostitute or drug dealer or escort.
2.5 months after the mailings were sent, Christina Parcell is murdered. But it turns out the man so many people seem to suspect could not have been the killer.
Where were you when Christina was murdered?
Italy. Yeah, I was in Italy.
Did you have anything to do with it?
No, of course not. No, it's not my style. You know what I mean? No.
We still were looking at Mr. Mello and people that he knew, but we did know that he's not the person that walked in the front door and killed Christina.
And then, a huge turning point in the case, thanks to a neighbor's Ring camera.
Rarely do you ever get to see the bad guy walk through the front door before he engages in a horrific murder.
And a shocking arrest, but it's not what you think.
We were dumbfounded.
Police are investigating Christina Parcell's murder. Her fiancé, Bradley Post, tells them he's convinced John Mello, despite being in Italy, should be the prime suspect.
There's been a heavy custody battle. This guy's been he's a threatener, he's the thug.
Although authorities have their suspicions about Bradley Post himself, their investigation seems to be pointing away from him.
Bradley Post was extremely cooperative.
And when was the last time you spoke with her?
Hold on, I'll tell you exactly.
He said that he spoke with Christina that morning.
Last time I talked to her was 8:15 a.m. Outgoing call, 10 minutes. She was on her way for a job interview.
That they texted, and then he attempted to call her with no answer, which is the reason that he came to the house. And by looking at his phone, as well as Christina's phone, we were able to confirm that he was in fact telling the truth.
Because normally when she leaves somewhere, she'll send me a text or something on my way back. Right. And I didn't hear from her.
In addition, the way that he was dressed and the way he appeared in pristine condition, freshly showered, in a sports coat, a white shirt, slacks, not somebody that had just committed a horrific murder.
Even though he expresses some nervousness, Post continues to work with police.
But at this point, I'm getting worried about where we are. I really don't know if I want to comment more. I want to help you, but if this is what I think it is,
that's fine.
But then investigators stumble upon what they claim is evidence of an entirely different crime.
Okay.
Bradley Post agreed to allow us to look at his phone. He signed a consent form, a waiver. He gave us his password. We weren't expecting to find anything, but while reviewing his phone, we found some material that resulted in him being arrested for criminal sexual conduct with a minor.
An upstate man facing several charges of sexual exploitation with a minor will remain behind bars.
Investigators say they found sexually explicit images of children in Post's possession.
According to court documents, Post had a high volume of child pornography on his phone and electronic devices. He has not yet entered a formal plea to those charges.
I was personally dumbfounded. I couldn't believe that he just handed over that evidence. For these alleged crimes, he could spend the rest of his life in prison.
So although Bradley Post is now facing some serious charges, police still don't think he's the person who killed Christina Parcell. And they now have a critical clue in the hunt for who did.
As you start to go looking for evidence, what's the first thing that you do outside of the home?
Cameras.
Cameras.
Look for cameras, yes.
So where were the first cameras that you found?
Well, the first camera was actually right here behind you. There's a Ring doorbell camera.
The camera is from the house directly across the street from where Christina Parcell lived.
And so you get that camera. What do you see on that camera?
So that camera, it shows a person walking up the steps and going into the house.
We were extremely lucky. The Ring camera across the street was highly sensitive to cars driving by, and a white Ford Explorer drove by at the exact moment that the individual was walking up the stairs and through the front door of the house at exactly 9:15.
So if that vehicle hadn't driven by at that moment, you wouldn't have seen who walked in the house?
That's right.
We were able to enhance the video. You can actually see the gray sweatshirt, the black pants, the build of the individual, an individual walking up through the front door, getting ready to commit a horrific murder.
We continued canvassing the whole neighborhood and came across some cameras that showed someone wearing the same type clothing, same stature, leaving the area.
The next evidence we have of this individual is a Ring camera down the street, and it shows an individual on a black bike dressed in a black sweatshirt, black pants, with a N95 mask over their face, leaving on the bike at exactly 9:27.
We believe that the suspect was in that house for about 12 minutes.
Then at 9:28, we see the same individual passing a house in the exact same clothes on a black bike.
They were wearing dark clothes. It was a nice day that day. Long sleeves, pants, it's just odd. And it was our first real clue.
The Ring camera offers another important development. While investigators don't know who the mysterious man is, they are now confident of who it isn't.
After we found the cameras in the neighborhood, Bradley Post was ruled out. The build wasn't the same. It was pretty obvious that Bradley Post's statures not match the stature of the person that went into that house.
We were able to determine that Bradley Post could not have committed this crime.
The next order of business, finding the man on the bike.
So finding the person on the bicycle was a tall order.
Turns out the man on the bike will not remain a mystery for long.
At the point you heard there was a suspect, were you surprised?
Police zero in on somebody you'd never expect. Will this finally explain the crime and those odd rose petals?
We had no suspects, and then with a click of a button, it's like, well, we just figured out who did it. Felt like I just won the lottery.
The rose petal case was just a wild ride. So many twists and turns.
The manifestation of hate wrought upon a physical body.
We still felt with the child custody dispute, there's motive.
Where Zach Hughes began inserting himself into this custody battle.
You don't think Zach is a killer?
There's just no way. The guy's heart is as big as the moon.
We started receiving calls that we had arrested the wrong person.
It makes utterly no sense.
And there is proof to that the state is hiding from you.
Instruct him to be quiet.
If there's no malice, there's no murder.
How is that not murder?
It was as close to a Matlock moment as you're gonna get.
Either you had some part of this, or you were caught in the craziest murder case that any of us have ever heard of.
Graceville County 911 with your emergency.
I just walked in, my fiance said, it looks like she's bled out on the floor.
Is she breathing?
No. I think she's gone. There's a lot of blood. The flowers here, it looks like somebody must have come here.
After Christina Parcell is stabbed to death in the house she shares with her 9-year-old daughter and her sister Tina, investigators piece together camera footage from around their neighborhood that provides critical details about the person who did it.
The Ring camera across the street that caught the suspect going into the house was huge.
Our immediate suspects were Bradley Post, because he was Christina's fiance and found her deceased, and John Mello, because they had a previous relationship and had a child together. From the Ring and security camera footage in the neighborhood, we learned that our suspect appeared to be male, tall and slender with very good posture, and arrived on a bike.
It was pretty obvious that Bradley Post's stature does not match the stature of the person that went into that house. And John Mello was in Italy at the time, so we know he's not the person that walked into the door.
With Bradley Post and John Mello ruled out as the killer, investigators are working overtime to figure out who the man on the bike is.
We had been working, I don't even know how many hours a day. We had no suspects. Everywhere we were turning, we were just running into dead ends.
Given John Mello's solid alibi, investigators decide to dig a little deeper into his circle of friends and acquaintances.
We still felt like we need to talk to people that know him.
Why?
He's not the one that killed her, but from the information we had with the child custody dispute, we just felt like there's motive there.
We learned that an individual named Michael Manigault worked for John Mello and would clean his house.
So we found Mr. Manigault and we spoke with him.
Like Bradley Post, Michael Manigault does not match the Ring camera footage of the man recorded entering the Parcell house.
When we were able to blow up the footage, we were able to tell the person we were looking for was white. Mr. Manigault is African-American.
But when investigators ask Manigault what he knows about Christina's death, he gives them a new name.
Tell me again how you heard about Christina.
A mutual friend, me and John, Zach Hughes, he said about a week and a half ago that Christina had been found stabbed to death.
He goes on to tell us that Zach Hughes cleans John Mello's house with him.
Is this him?
Is this Zach? Yes, that's it.
At that point, you start looking into Zach Hughes, find out who he is.
Master Deputy Wolf, he did just a basic internet search. There's YouTube video of Zachary Hughes.
The videos are from a virtual concert series Hughes did with a local museum and posted on his YouTube channel.
Zach is a pretty extraordinary musician.
I noticed that he's a pianist, and there's a lot of articles about him and his accomplishments. I was very surprised. He had no criminal record. I couldn't even find a speeding ticket.
How does Zachary get around? You said old truck or something?
Yeah, old truck. He picks me up once in a while.
Once I have his name, I can pull up every vehicle you have with your license plate within 10 minutes.
We're able to learn that he in fact owned a gold Ford truck.
Investigators discover a crucial clue not far from downtown Greenville. If you look up there, you'll see a camera. That's called a flock camera. It's an automated license plate reader that alerts law enforcement if a wanted vehicle is detected.
A little after 2 p.m. on the day of Christina's murder, there's a picture of his vehicle coming into the downtown area with a black bike in the bed of his truck.
And that bike matched the exact description of the bike that we had on the Ring cameras of the individual leaving the Canebrake neighborhood.
The handlebars were the same, the brakes were in the exact same place, the frame was the same. Felt like I just won the lottery.
With all that information, we really honed in on Zachary Hughes as our main suspect.
We get a search warrant for Zach Hughes' residence where he's staying. When we all get there, it's almost like Zach was waiting on us. He comes out calm, puts his hands up, and he backs up towards my direction. I put handcuffs on him.
Anybody else in the house?
Yes, sir. He never asked why we were there or what we were doing.
I set him in the back of Investigator Wolf's car, and he stayed there while we executed the search warrant.
We obviously want his cell phone. We're looking for the bicycle. We knew Christina Parcell had been stabbed, so we're looking for any objects that could have done that. They have a detached garage at this property, and then we were able to find the exact bike that is on the flock picture in the bed of his truck.
The bike had been washed or cleaned before we were able to locate it. It was in absolute pristine condition.
Investigators don't have enough yet to make an arrest, so they let Zach Hughes go, but not before obtaining a sample of his DNA.
Her fingernails were broken, which made us think she fought back. So we believed that DNA could possibly be under her fingernails of her killer.
While they wait for the DNA results, authorities are trying to determine just how close Zach Hughes and John Mello really are.
How did you come to know Zach?
I was walking with my daughter down Main Street, and we were just a couple of weeks away from moving full-time to Italy, and he was playing piano on the street. And so he finished, and he said hello to her, and she said hello, and she says, "Do you know Claire de Lune?" And he played Claire de Lune, and it was fantastic. And then days later, he was in a different location by Falls Park playing, and we chatted quite a while and exchanged contact information, and that was it. And then we left, not long after that.
Mello says that once he takes his daughter to Italy, he loses touch with Hughes for a few months. But after Christina Parcell wins her case to bring their daughter back to the United States, he says the two men reconnect.
I was unbelievably sad and distraught, and I reached out to him and I told him what was going on, because he was just like, "Oh my God, not your little girl."
You don't think Zach is a killer?
There's just no way. The guy's heart is as big as the moon, and what would his motive be?
Even while investigators are zeroing in on Hughes, prosecutor Walt Wilkins has the same question.
Why would Zach Hughes go kill somebody for John Mello? And if you do that for your friend, you must either be a really good friend or a really scary person.
Do you think I could talk him into doing something like that for free? Throwing his life down the toilet? At his age?
I don't know what to say about Zach. I love him. He's one of my best friends. Because I think he has the ability to become one of the greatest pianists of our century.
Zach Hughes. You know, a lot of people don't know who he is and kind of what his background is. How did he end up in Greenville?
He was born in California. When he was roughly 10, 11 years old, his family moved to Virginia on a small farm. They lived in Virginia until he was a teenager. Then they moved to the upstate of South Carolina. His parents could see an aptitude for music, so his dad bought him a piano at a yard sale for $300. And that's where he started. And over the course of his childhood, he just developed a passion for it, became very good at it.
Like when you say good at it, like prodigy good?
He consistently did things that were very extraordinary. He begins to compete in very prestigious music festivals. And he decided to apply for Juilliard and was accepted in 2010.
Juilliard is one of our most prestigious conservatories for musicians. To be received into the program suggests that a young artist is at the top of his or her game.
I met Zach in 2011 at Juilliard, and very quickly we decided to build some projects, and he started playing my music. I always felt Zach treating everyone with this equal, profound kindness. He was devoted to his friend, devoted to his parents, devoted to everyone he was meeting, basically. In 2013, Zach came to Paris especially to premiere my first sonata, which was called Sonata Mystica at the Oratoire du Louvre, which is a rather famous place in Paris. And it was a huge success.
As seen here in a video posted on YouTube, Zach Hughes graduates from Juilliard in 2015. He spends a season with the Knoxville Symphony Orchestra before eventually settling in Greenville, South Carolina, amid its thriving local arts and music scene.
We've always punched above our weight, artistically, you might say, here in Greenville. In 2020, someone had contacted me to tell me about this young pianist who was going to attempt a really ambitious project, playing all 32 of Beethoven's piano sonatas in the space of a year. He called his project the Beethoven Odyssey.
Zach Hughes posted videos of the Beethoven Odyssey on his YouTube channel.
He was playing them by heart, and that was very, very impressive.
Together, they span 600 pages and more than 11 hours of music. I thought, based on his YouTube videos, as well as seeing him perform live and in person, that here was a young man with a very bright future ahead of him as a musician.
During the COVID pandemic, Zachary Hughes could often be found here in downtown Greenville with his keyboard, sharing his Juilliard training and his love of Beethoven with the community.
He started off doing some concerts live, but then when COVID hit, he was doing some busking in downtown Greenville. And one day, a man walked up to him and asked if he would take a request.
That man, of course, is John Mello, and this chance encounter is the start of their friendship.
It was a pretty strong friendship from what I understood.
It was in May of 2021. Zach actually goes to Italy to visit John Mello. What's that trip about?
Mello said, why don't you recharge your batteries and just come over and visit.
I go, come to Italy. I go, I got a recording. I could use you. So he came, and we rehearsed a lot and spent a lot of time together. He's just a really very well-educated, very articulate, very fun, kind person. And we just really hit it off.
Cemented by the time in Italy, their connection continues when Zach Hughes returns home to South Carolina.
Zach began doing yard work, just odds and ends around the house to help him out.
Had he ever met Christina?
Not once. How would he ever have an occasion to meet her?
But investigators are starting to believe that Zach Hughes did, in fact, meet Christina Parcell on at least one occasion. And they say they've now got the evidence to prove it.
The DNA results came back as Zach Hughes' DNA was under the fingernails of Christina Parcell. And so as a result, we were able to get a warrant for his arrest. And he makes the decision to turn himself in.
Typically, the people that we deal with for murders, they don't wear suits, they're not pianists. For us, this is just all very unusual.
He just sat there. He wasn't rude, but he just had no emotion.
And then after that, we took him to our detention center and booked him.
This man locked up tonight, charged with murder.
We started receiving calls that we had arrested the wrong person.
And at a bond hearing for Zach Hughes, the courtroom is packed with supporters insisting that he's not capable of murder.
As a mother, I know him, and I have no doubt that Zach had any part of this.
We were convinced that we had the correct person and that he just made everybody believe he was something that he wasn't.
Ultimately, the judge denies Hughes' bond, and now it's up to the state of South Carolina to prove to a jury that this 29-year-old piano virtuoso is also a cold-blooded killer.
John Mello had a problem. He had a custody problem, and Zach Hughes solved the problem for him.
And prosecutors now think they have evidence implicating Mello in the murder. There was a text exchange between you and Zach where you asked him, how's the music research going?
Right, yeah. On the day of the murder.
On the day of the murder.
It was two musicians discussing the music project.
So were the men discussing music or murder? Three years after Christina Parcells' murder, Zachary Hughes' trial begins. Family and friends pile in here to the Greenville County Courthouse to see if this accomplished musician might also be a killer.
We will now begin the trial. Stay.
The state intends to prove that Zachary Hughes did in fact murder Christina Parcells. Typically in opening statements, you want to lay out a little bit of a roadmap for the jury. Christina Parcells had been going through a very tremendous child custody dispute with John Mello. Zach Hughes began inserting himself into this custody battle at the behest of John Mello. And the evidence will show that Zach Hughes is a cold-blooded killer. Your Honor, the state calls Bradley Post.
One of the first witnesses to take the stand, clad in an orange jail jumpsuit, is Christina Parcells' fiance, Bradley Post. Prosecutors want to ask him about that morning. He found her dead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Post. Where do you currently reside?
Greenville County Detention Center.
Prior to the start of the trial, the judge ruled that jurors would not be allowed to hear that investigators had allegedly found a high volume of child pornography on Post's electronic devices, or that he was facing charges of sexual exploitation of a minor.
Child pornography is extremely prejudicial. I mean, nobody in America thinks that that's okay, but the purposes of us being there was to determine whether Zach Hughes murdered Christina Parcells. When you arrived, what did you do?
I went to the front door and rang the doorbell. She didn't answer. I walked in through the back door. I saw her on her back.
When you saw her on her back, was there a lot of blood around the room?
Yes.
The medical examiner testifies to just how violent the attack appeared to be.
What jumped out at you in your findings?
There were 35 sharp force injuries to Ms. Parcells. And then based on the appearances of the wounds, it is most consistent with a knife being used.
The chipped thumb fingernail, something that really stood out to me on scene.
Why does that stand out to you?
Broken fingernails can be a sign that the person tried to defend themselves.
Next, a court-appointed attorney for the child in the custody dispute takes the stand to address the conflict that prosecutors say is at the heart of this case.
What findings did you make as to the lengths that Mr. Mello would go to get custody?
He was very clear that there was nothing off limits. This was the worst case I've ever worked on as far as representing a child's interest.
At the time of the murder, remember, John Mello was still in Italy, and that, prosecutors say, is why Mello needed Zach Hughes.
When John Mello left for Italy, they began using WhatsApp to communicate with each other. After Christina Parcells was able to retrieve her child from Italy and return back to the United States, their communications increased by 10,000%.
When we downloaded Mr. Hughes' phone, we obtained over 1,700 WhatsApp messages between Mr. Hughes and John Mello.
But because Zach Hughes had deleted those encrypted WhatsApp messages before authorities got his phone, when they were able to retrieve them, they came back scrambled.
The longer ones, obviously, we couldn't make sense out of, but some of the shorter ones, you can determine what they said.
City States 184, you recognize that?
Yes, sir. This is a message from John Mello. It says, harass of her 5142. We can thee out. I believe he's providing Christina's phone number, which ends in 5142. He's saying harass the out of her.
When I spoke to John Mello prior to Zach Hughes' trial, he told me about sending this message.
They had the text of me saying, to Zach, oh, I got a private phone or something, or, use it, harass. whatever kind of thing. But his response was, no, I'm not going to get in trouble for you.
But prosecutors argue at trial this is when John Mello convinced Zach Hughes to help him in that alleged campaign of harassment against Christina, sending those explicit photos from a supposed escort website.
We were reviewing the Gmails of John Mello and Zachary Hughes. And inside was an email that came from Mullen Investigations, which we believe to be John Mello, because we couldn't ever find Mullen Investigations, and included 2 of the photos of Christina Parcell in a state of undress that were found in those envelopes.
The most significant communication between the 2 men, prosecutors say, was their last WhatsApp message, sent just hours after Christina Parcell was killed.
October 13th, 2021, that did research on music, how go. At 2:53 p.m., the message reads, phone over, tell you good, the owl. The question John Mello asked about how the music research was going, to me, I thought they were speaking in code for killing Christina.
There was a text exchange between you and Zach where you asked him, how's the music research going?
Right, yeah. On the day of the murder.
And some people think that could be code for how did the murder go.
Okay, yeah, I know. I know that's what they're thinking. It was 2 musicians discussing the music project he was working on. It's simple as that. That's what it is.
But prosecutors have one more damning piece of evidence against Hughes to put before the jury.
The cherry on top was the DNA evidence. Zach Hughes had no business being in Christina Parcell's house that day. They had no prior relationship, and his DNA under her fingernails slammed the door on this case.
With the state's case laid out, it's now the defense's turn. And in a twist, they announce Zach Hughes will be taking the stand.
Please state your name for the record.
Zachary David Hughes.
And what he tells the jury catches prosecutors and just about everyone else in the courtroom off guard.
There is proof to that the state is hiding from you.
Your Honor, instruct him to be quiet.
Why did you feel like it was important for you to be there?
Part of me feels like by being there every day, every minute of this trial, maybe she got to be there too. Courtroom 8 got fuller and fuller as days went on.
So we're standing outside the courtroom right now. It has been quite a sight, to say the least.
State rest, Your Honor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's our turn. We are honored and privileged to be representing Zach.
Zach Hughes' defense team opens with a bombshell, announcing not only will Hughes take the stand, but he's prepared to confess to killing Christina Parcell.
Zach has been waiting for this opportunity. He's been waiting and wanting to tell you why. You're going to hear that this was done for a just cause.
We didn't know exactly what he was going to say and how he was going to do it and for what purpose.
Please state your name for the record.
Zachary David Hughes.
Hughes first describes how he met John Mello and learned the details of the contentious custody battle that Mello was in with Christina. He says Mello told him that he was worried for his daughter's safety. And in an attempt to help, Hughes admits he was the one who mailed those envelopes with the explicit pictures of Christina.
You sent multiple mailers beginning in June and going into July of 2021, is that correct?
Yes, I did. I wanted different people, such as the guardian ad litem, to have access to this information that clearly demonstrated that Christina Parcell was a danger to children and her own daughter.
I'm curious why the concern for this child, a child that he doesn't really know that well.
Well, he got to know the child somewhat. I think Zach is just naturally a caring person, just in general. Another point was Christina Parcell's fiance was a man named Brad Post. And Zach was convinced that Christina Parcell was going to allow him to harm her.
At the beginning of October 2021, did you conclude that you had to rescue and there was no other way?
Yes, I did. I had been wrestling with this since June, feeling that I needed to do something to save her, and yet feeling this incredible reluctance to do the one thing that I knew would save her because of how terrible I knew it would be to do it.
It's extremely rare for a defendant to get up there and admit to killing somebody in cold blood, almost as if he was doing something for the sake of humanity.
I had prayed like I'd never prayed before.
He testified it was something he just felt like he had to do to protect that child, but every fiber of his being was fighting him.
When you arrived at the house, what did you do?
I laid my bike down in the driveway. I took a bunch of roses, and I walked up to the door and I rang the doorbell.
According to Hughes, those roses found at the scene that caused so much speculation were nothing more than a ruse, and along with the flowers, he also had a gun.
A woman came to the front, so I told her that I had a delivery for Lutina Porcel, her sister. And she told me that Lutina wasn't home. So I handed her the roses, and I took the revolver out and I pointed it at her, and I told her to be quiet and to go back into the house. She began to try to fight back, and during this period of time, the roses had dropped and the petals and stems had scattered. So I pulled out the knife I was wearing, and it just kept striking her until finally we fell on the floor, and I stopped striking her when she stopped struggling.
Zach Hughes says that he knew he didn't have time to clean up all of the now scattered rose petals.
And I looked in a mirror before I left, and I saw that she had scratched my face in the struggle. And of course I realized that this could leave DNA. So I used the paint thinner to try to clean her hands.
I do smell something.
The paint thinner Hughes brought with him explains that odd smell the responding officer noticed.
That's true.
But even after his detailed testimony, Zach Hughes' defense attorneys insist that he is not guilty of murder.
Murder is defined in South Carolina as the killing of another with malice aforethought. Malice is defined as having a dark heart, a wicked and depraved heart. Zach did this without malice. If there's no malice, there's no murder.
He planned this. He had a gun and a knife. He basically lied to get into the home, and then he stabbed this woman. How is that not murder?
It's very important to understand the motive. The entire motive behind what he did was to save this child, period.
And the defense had argued that there were serious abuse allegations against Christina Porcel herself, and that jurors should hear them. The judge ruled those accusations were irrelevant and inadmissible, but that didn't stop Zach Hughes from repeatedly making them during his testimony.
As soon as I left the house, I felt the most enormous wave of relief wash over me, because I knew from that moment on to be safe from the sexual abuse that her mother was perpetrating on her. And there is proof to that the state is hiding from you.
Instruct him to be quiet.
Okay, you need to stop talking.
That was his third sort of outburst, I believe, which I was able to strike from the record. We don't know the circumstances surrounding Christina Porcel and her child and their relationship with Brad Post. And as far as this case is concerned, it does not matter. Assuming it's all true, Christina Porcel doesn't deserve to die the way that she did.
Investigators say it's also important to note that nobody knew of the allegations against Bradley Post until his arrest after Christina Porcel's murder.
Zach had never met Christina. The only thing that Zach knew about Christina was what he got from John Mello.
We found no evidence that Zachary Hughes knew anything about Bradley Post's alleged behavior prior to the murder.
But Zach Hughes' testimony isn't over yet, and there's one more bombshell to come.
I was shocked and insulted.
It was as close to a Matlock moment as you're going to get.
In this Greenville County Courthouse, classical pianist Zach Hughes has a rapt audience as he takes jurors step by step through how he says he killed Christina Parcell.
Did you take Christina Parcell's life?
Yes.
He made me think he just rehearsed it all, which he is a performer. I felt like he was trying to put on a performance.
So I just kept striking.
And if a confession from the witness stand wasn't shocking enough, Hughes drops another bombshell, testifying that his friend and Christina Parcell's ex, John Mello, offered to pay him on 2 separate occasions to kill her.
He asked me, would I be willing to kill Christina Parcell for $10,000?
It was as close to a Matlock moment as you're going to get.
I told him, John, there's no amount of money that would ever tempt me to do something like this. The only way I would ever consider taking action like this is if I was absolutely convinced that his daughter was not only in danger, but that the only way to rescue her from that danger would be to take Christina Parcell's life.
We reached out to John Mello about these allegations right after Zach Hughes' testimony, and he told us, quote, "It never happened."
I was incredulous to the absurdity of his statements, that he is going to sit there and decide when somebody gets to live or somebody gets to die based on his own personal judgments. That is absolutely absurd.
Before he made the decision to do this, did he have any physical proof that this child was in harm's way?
So I would say he did. He knew it with the information he had received from John Mello, with the documents he had received.
Zach Hughes says he also had the chance to see Christina's daughter while he was visiting John Mello in Italy, and Mello spoke to her over Zoom.
He said that he could notice a profound change in her demeanor. The light went out of her eyes. So there were other things like that that corroborated what he believed.
Now, after a full day of testimony, it's the prosecutor's turn to question Zach Hughes.
This is the opportunity of a lifetime for a prosecutor. I have the ability to cross-examine a confessed murderer, but you have to understand the position that I was in. Zachary Hughes was stating things on his direct examination that he was ordered by the court not to say. The battle in his mind was telling this jury information that they had no business hearing. And so I came up with a strategic decision to ask one question.
Mr. Hughes, when you dragged Christina Parcell across the floor of the front room where you killed her, did you drag her by her arm or by her ankle?
I don't remember for certain, but I think by the ankle.
That's all the questions I need to ask this, Your Honor.
And I left Zach Hughes with the inability to say what he really wanted to say.
We are about to begin closing arguments.
He confessed to killing Christina Parcell, but that in and of itself does not make him guilty of murder. The state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt malice. That is the intent, the knowledge, the mental part of murder. Just because Zachary Hughes' heart is so cold and so dead that it can't be angry, that is not a defense. Vigilante justice is not allowed in this state. The evidence is absolutely overwhelming. I'm going to ask you to find Zach Hughes guilty.
The case is now in the hands of the jurors, one of whom was this man, David Collins.
He confessed to the crime of taking Christina's life. None of us could believe what we were hearing, I was actually wondering why we were in the courtroom and having a trial.
After less than 3 hours of deliberations, the jury returns with a verdict.
Your Honor, as to the charge of murder, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
I don't understand how you could stab someone 30 times and be in a struggle with them without malice in your heart. He was trying to play God, and he was trying to play the judge, and he was trying to play the executor.
Before sentencing, Zach Hughes' father speaks to the court.
Thank you, Your Honor, for the opportunity to speak a few words on my son's behalf. He has such a strong moral compass and a desire for the truth that sometimes he actually hurts himself. I love my son. I'm proud of my son. Thank you, Your Honor.
Zachary David Hughes, you're to be committed to the State Department of Corrections for life.
The question now, will John Mello be the next person charged in this case? Are you worried they're going to arrest you in connection with this murder?
Please state your name for the record.
Zachary David Hughes.
Zach Hughes' unexpected courtroom testimony has now put the spotlight back on John Mello, prompting investigators to take action.
We discussed all the evidence we had against John Mello already, and then with Mr. Hughes' new statements, we believed there was enough to move forward with charges.
John Mello is charged with solicitation to commit a felony and accessory before the fact of murder.
Based on the nature of these charges and the situation involved in this case, I am going to no bond you.
One of the people in attendance at tonight's bond court hearing was Christina Parcel's sister.
You did this to your family. Your child has to know that you did this.
When I sat down with John Mello before Zach Hughes' trial, I asked him about the allegations swirling around him that he was somehow involved in this murder. Are you worried they're going to arrest you in connection with this murder?
2 years I've been here, did everything, DNA, fingerprints, you know, they talked about the telephone and the messages and what, there's nothing there.
But either you had some part of this, or you were caught in the craziest murder case that any of us have ever heard of.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. I'm caught up in it. All I did was try to do the right thing.
Did you have anything at all to do with the murder of Christina Parcell?
No, absolutely not. No.
We reached out to John Mello's attorney, but he declined to answer our questions and says he looks forward to his day in court. Mello has not yet entered a formal plea to these charges. Do you think in some ways that Zach was manipulated by John Mello?
Zach is an extremely intelligent person. He's a very disciplined person. He's not going to be manipulated by a person.
There should be justice. People should be held accountable for their actions, for willfully, willingly, cruelly hurting people in this world, whether you know them or not, whether they're family or not, whether you love them or not.
My lasting impression of this case is it was tragic. It was a heinous crime. It didn't have to happen.
And at the center of this tragedy, an innocent little girl left without her mother. Christina's daughter has been temporarily placed with friends of John Mello upon his request, following a family court ruling. Her Aunt Tina is currently fighting for custody of her. Your niece. What do you want for her?
The same thing I've always wanted for her. My job is for her to be safe, healthy, and happy, specifically in that order. She deserves better than this.
who leaves their house without any of their items at night and doesn't show back up again.
This isn't just anybody. This is an Ivy League college student with his whole life in front of him.
Did he run away? Was he injured? Had he been abducted?
Blaze Bernstein disappeared 1 week ago.
Missing while home for winter break.
My dad was just like, we have each other, it's gonna be okay.
And there was an immediate firestorm of attention to this case.
Charlie Puth, who put it out there, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
This is the period in which begins your amateur
This is what we're trying to figure out
You
what's
become a
going on.
sleuth.
We would not have been able to figure it out without the help of kids his age.
I remember showing the police, like, look what I have.
And that's when the whole evening changed.
Blaze Bernstein's phone at that point in time turned off, and I had no more records.
So they'd been together, and
Correct.
suddenly Blaze goes dark.
I heard voices raised in the distance somewhere, screaming like,
Blaze's best friend received a text message. I did something really horrible for the story. No one can ever know.
So if you're dealing with a situation like this, you don't want the person who you're hunting to know that you're onto them.
Just help us find my brother.
Well, the search ramping up today for a Lake Forest teen who disappeared while visiting his family over the holidays.
Blaze Bernstein has been missing since Tuesday night.
police searching by ground with canines and by air with helicopters.
We're hoping that he's just incapacitated in need of some medical assistance.
Anyone with information should contact the Orange County Sheriff's Department. Blaze Bernstein.
Blaze Bernstein.
Blaze Bernstein.
What are your favorite pictures here?
The kids like to goof off a lot, and he would dress up. They love to dress up. They love to do puppet shows, and this is him in a school play when he was little. And we spent a lot of time at Disneyland, because it's right here in our backyard.
Oh, yeah.
That's us sitting there. It was a great day.
Memories of much happier times for parents. Gideon and Jeannie Bernstein married in 1992. They moved from Los Angeles to Orange County to raise a family. They have 3 kids. The youngest is daughter Bowie, Jay in the middle, and Blaze, the oldest.
We had a lot of fun raising the kids together. It was fun. And no one can take that away from us, so we still own that.
Blaze Bernstein grew up here in the city of Lake Forest. It's an upper middle class bedroom community about an hour south of Los Angeles, home to about 90,000 people.
Growing up in Lake Forest was really nice. It was kind of inland from the coast, like 30-minute drive from the beach.
It was actually a really quiet residential area. Houses were beautiful, a lot of families there.
When we wanted to start a family, we left Los Angeles with the idea that we'd be moving to a safe suburbia, one of the safest places in the country.
And by all accounts, Blaze is this bright, gifted teenager with a sharp wit and a warm heart.
I've known Blaze since we were babies. Blaze as a kid, besides being very high energy, he was really creative, he was very thoughtful.
Blaze was incredibly bright, curious. He was really a Renaissance young man. I mean, he was interested in everything.
Surrounded by family and friends, Blaze was bar mitzvahed in 2011. That's a Jewish celebration of adulthood on a boy's 13th birthday. It was an occasion especially meaningful to his grandmother.
I did know that his grandmother was from Romania and survived the Holocaust.
I really think that Blaze got it. He was proud to be a Jew, humanistic philosophy, caring about the world and understanding the world's only going to change if human beings change it.
But even though Blaze possessed that understanding, it offered no protection from becoming a target of frequent bullying.
Growing up in Lake Forest was not super easy for him. He was bullied every single day on the bus. He just wanted to get out of the public school system.
And it wasn't just the bullying. Even though Blaze is a good student, he longs for something more.
Go, man, go.
Something that challenged him, not just intellectually, but creatively. And he would find it at OSHA.
OSHA is the Orange County School of the Arts. It is a 7th through 12th charter art school.
In order to get into that school, you have to audition, and about 1 in 10 students who audition actually get into this school. So it's very competitive.
Blaze auditioned for OSHA. He was artistic in every single way possible. He was very creative.
His talents going in were performing arts and writing, and he wanted to move into the creative writing department.
We've had students who wound up professional actors, designers, you know, the writers, the whole thing, musicians.
Among the more famous OSHA alumni are actors Pedro Pascal, class of 1993, who starred in the HBO hit The Last of Us, and Matthew Morrison, a 1997 graduate and star in Fox's popular TV series, Glee.
And I want you to listen very closely to the lyrics because I really mean what I'm singing.
Once Blaze got to OSHA, he felt like there was a community there for him. He had a lot of friends. He was very social.
I met Blaze when he was a senior in high school. He shared some of his writing with me, and I wrote a letter of advocacy for his application when he applied early decision to Penn because he was a brilliant writer.
Blaze's exceptional talents got him into the University of Pennsylvania, and he moved across the country to Philadelphia as a pre-med freshman in the class of 2020.
Was he homesick at the start?
I think that the first semester at school was difficult for him in terms of the social life there. He was used to being in a small school. You know, now he's a little fish in a big sea, and I think that he had to come to grips with that.
When I found out that he was going to an Ivy League, I was like, oh, you know, that makes sense.
At Penn, Blaze got involved in Penn Appetit.
Penn Appetit is a student-run magazine for people who are interested in writing and also interested in food.
He knew that those would be his people.
Our photographer for Penn Appetit, he held a photo shoot where we dressed up in our chef's whites and aprons. We brought whisks and knives. We have photos of him, you know, holding the whisk, being surprised. I mean, he was so helpful, and we're so fortunate to have these photos of him.
It was a Tuesday in January. A 19-year-old Blaze was home for winter break. He was in a really good place and looking forward to second semester of his sophomore year, but not before he treated his family to a special meal.
He was baking butternut squash with, you know, sprigs of thyme that were inside them.
He made a turkey.
And he made a...
He took over my job, more or less. I was on vacation, and he was here.
So dinner broke up, I guess, absolutely normally.
It was a quiet night. Didn't hear anything unusual. You know, I woke up the next day and it was a normal morning.
A normal day until it wasn't.
I got up and Blaze's door was closed, and the housekeeper said, "Oh, don't wake him, let him sleep in." And I said, okay. Well, I knew I had a dental appointment with him that day, so I decided I'd wait until my yoga class was over to try to contact him so I wouldn't wake him. And I tried getting hold of him, and he wasn't picking up, he wasn't returning my texts. But I went to the dental appointment thinking he would show up, and I immediately called Gideon, and I said he never showed up for his appointment. And he said, well, are you sure he slept at the house last night? And that's when
when we both kind of freaked out.
I yelled, oh my God.
19-year-old Blaze Bernstein was last seen Tuesday night.
We're hoping to find him and bring him home safely.
My dad called me and was like, hey, like, have you heard anything from Blaze? He's not picking up the phone. It's really weird. Like, just let us know if you hear anything. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right.
I was at work, so I basically run out of my office and jump in the car and drive home as quickly as I can. And just go run upstairs, and his glasses are there, his wallet's there, his keys are there.
Panicked and confused, the Bernsteins were calling everyone they could think of to see whether anyone had seen or heard from Blaze in the last 12 hours.
And what were they saying?
They didn't know anything.
Nobody knew, where his location was.
Well, I found out that Blaze was missing, and it was just really shocking to me because I was like, there's no way that he could have run away. He wasn't that kind of person.
So this is the period in which begins your amateur
This is when we're trying to
investigation.
figure out
You
what's
become a
going on.
sleuth.
Yeah.
Well, we had no idea what was going on.
He hadn't slept in the bed.
And his bags for going back to school were already packed.
You think, well, hanging out with some kids, other teenagers, and forgot to call home. You have to believe that's defense against the most awful.
When it became dark outside, I think that's when we started to really be super concerned.
One of the first things the Bernsteins thought of is using the Find My app, which allows users to share their location with others.
So did you have a follow my friend on the iPhone?
Yes, we did. We had that, and I saw that the location services were turned off.
So we called the sheriff's department.
They came and they were really downplaying it, like, oh, 19-year-olds, they run away sometimes, but they'll be back.
He was adamant that 100% of the time that these kids are out on a booty call or doing something with, he
Of course,
told me.
we explained that there were some, unique circumstances with regards to, his personal belongings still being here. And so they offered to do a missing persons report.
So a kid disappears without his glasses, his wallet, or his keys. There are people who actually told me about it just in the couple of days after he went missing, who suggested that maybe this was suicide. Did you ever contemplate that?
Never.
Not even close. He was so happy. He was in a great place.
He was in one of the best places I had ever seen him before. That week, he was so happy. He was so excited to go back to school. He was so excited to just have the rest of his life. And so at that point, there was no doubt in my mind, he would never have done that.
Gideon and Jeannie confirmed with Verizon that Blaze hadn't made any recent phone calls. A quick check of his computer revealed no exchanges on iMessage or Facebook DMs. And so with virtually no solid information to go on, the Bernsteins, along with help from their 14-year-old daughter, Bowie, began dipping deeper into Blaze's social media.
We would not have been able to figure it out without the help of kids his age that he grew up with. and our daughter, yes.
I told my parents, I'm like, I can try and help you find everything that you need. I'm really good with Snapchat. I knew the names of a lot of his friends, so I was able to text them and ask them if they knew what was going on.
And that's when the whole evening changed.
Yeah.
When they said, well, what about Snapchat? That's when the light bulb went on. I mean, we were exhausted, but I said, okay, let's try and figure out how to get in.
Snapchat is a free mobile messaging application used to share photos, videos, texts. But what's different about the app is that whatever is shared, including text messages, disappears from the recipient's screen after just a few seconds.
We were lucky because we knew his username because he was connected with our daughter. And the password ended up being one of the ones that we had on our iCloud keychain. So we typed the username, and then we tried that password in, and boom, we're in.
Still, getting into Blaze's Snapchat account was only half the battle. Yes, it might contain a critical record of who Blaze may have been in contact with the night he disappeared, but as the Bernsteins discovered, simply viewing the message might also trigger it to vanish.
At the time, Snapchat worked. If you sent a message, it could only be saved if you purposefully saved it, and it could be deleted by the person who sent it, and it only lasts 24 hours if you don't save it.
And there were so many other pitfalls with this. I mean, if you take a screenshot of these communications because you think you're saving them, well, that alerts the person that sent it to you.
The sender gets an alert.
So if you're dealing with a situation like this, you don't want the person who you're hunting to know that you're onto them.
What you're describing is basically dealing with this digital nitroglycerin that at any moment could just blow up in your faces. And this is the most important thing in your lives right now.
I had my daughter next to me, and I said, okay, I need you to save, because I know there's a way that you can save it, but I didn't really know how.
What time is it by now?
I don't know, it's close to 10 o'clock at night, 9:30, 10 o'clock. And we saw that Blaze gave our address out to somebody.
Did you know who?
We didn't know at the time who it was. We saw the name.
I had absolutely no idea who he was. I was so happy that there was somebody who we could talk to that could just help us find my brother.
Bernsteins didn't know the person Blaze sent his address to, but in the hours ahead, the discovery of that person's identity would turn the desperate search for their son upside down.
Hi, this is Blaze's dad. We really need to know what you know. We can't find him.
This is becoming an urgent issue with trying to figure out what really happened to him, and we're going to really need your help on this because you're the last person that probably saw him.
That was not the person that I really expected him to be with.
Who leaves their house without any of their items, at night and doesn't show back up again?
This isn't just anybody. This
Right.
is an Ivy League college student with his whole life in front of him.
Right.
With a beautiful life waiting for him.
Hours had passed since anyone had heard or seen Blaze. Did he run away? Was he injured? Had he been abducted? There was no sign of him anywhere. Now, as darkness fell, there was finally a glimmer of hope.
We wanted to make sure that if there was any chance that Blaze was still alive, that we took it. I wanted to ensure that not 1 second was wasted.
And the Bernsteins discovered something else. It was a final text message sent to Blaze at 3 p.m. from his best friend. "Hey, I'm really worried about you. Please text me." There was no reply. The Bernsteins frantically reached out to that best friend, who told them Blaze did exchange messages with someone else overnight. Now it seemed that person was their best hope of finding Blaze.
We don't know what the conversations were that led up to his disappearance, so we want that information.
Gideon Bernstein, through his own investigation, found out that there was communication on the Snapchat application. And so he was able to message through direct messaging Sam Woodward.
We didn't know who he was. I was like, we should call him. Like, he definitely knows what's going on. And so I encouraged my dad to call him, and we recorded a call.
We haven't heard from him all day. He missed an appointment today, and then we started getting concerned, and I've been trying to figure things out. So you're the first real clue to the puzzle here.
Yeah, honestly, I'm sorry.
I don't know if my dad told me to record it or if I just had the thought that maybe having any sort of evidence that we could hold on to would be able to help us.
I don't mean to put any pressure on you. I know you're a nice young man, but I'm asking you for help on this if you can, if you've got the ability to do that.
Absolutely. This is, I want to find Blaze as much as you do.
During that call, Sam Woodward told Gideon that Blaze suggested they drive to a nearby park to meet yet another one of his friends, but never mentioned that friend by name.
And he said he invited a third friend to come along. So I said, okay.
I didn't want to speak because I didn't want to get involved, but I was listening and to my dad, just ask him questions and go back and forth.
And then did he get out of the car, or what happened?
Yeah, he got out of the car, and I got out of the car too, and I just asked him, who is this guy? And he's just like, you'll find out in a little bit, he's a friend of mine. And then, so I'm just like, okay, Blaze, and I just waited there by the bathroom, and I didn't see where he went.
I was just thinking to myself, this is maybe weirdest, situation that we could be in at this moment. And I remember that phone call went on for a while, too.
I guess I realized, did something happen to him? So I went back. I searched all over for him where I was at the library. I couldn't find him anywhere. And I guess I just figured he might just call me in the morning or just pranking me, but now I'm scared now.
It's a disturbing phone conversation, which now raises more questions for the Bernsteins than it answers.
We were curious to know who this person was, but then We did find out he was a student at OSHA.
20-year-old Sam Woodward and Blaze were former high school classmates at OSHA.
I have known Sam since he was born, kind of grew up alongside of him. I remember excitement, during Sam telling me that he was going to OSHA.
Woodward grew up only 30 minutes away in the wealthy coastal town of Newport Beach.
Sam was joyful. He was a really happy, special kid.
He lived in this house with his parents and a brother who, by all accounts, were devout Catholics and attended church regularly.
Everything we did, all the families we spent time with, were from our church.
I did teach Sam Woodward in acting for the camera in his 10th grade, and I had him for the one semester.
For 10 years, Phil Schwadron taught drama and directing for grades 9 through 11 at OSHA.
He was definitely serious. He didn't crack jokes, didn't laugh a lot, as to my memory.
Sam went to OSHA with me from 7th grade to 10th grade. I would say that he did not necessarily fit into the general OSHA artsy vibe.
We came back for what would have been Sam's 11th grade year, and I said, who have I got this year? And my boss said, yeah, you're going to get them all back except one left the school. Who left the school? Sam Woodward left the school.
I wasn't really surprised that he left. I kind of just thought that he left because he just didn't like it there.
After leaving OSHA, Sam enrolled in Corona Del Mar High School. During that time, he became an Eagle Scout, graduating in 2016. Now, 2 years later, nothing seemed to explain how or why this unlikely pair with seemingly nothing in common ended up together in this park. And now, one safely home, the other nowhere to be found.
So now you have this critical piece of information. Do
Yeah.
we immediately call the sheriffs and say,
Yes.
we have something?
Yes, we did.
Yep, right away.
And what's their response?
They come over right away.
They came over,
Okay.
and now it was
And
serious.
We just gave him the lead of the last person we knew that he had seen.
I remember taking that call and showing the police, like, look what I have. We talked to somebody who said that they know where my brother is.
When I first saw the missing persons report and I was reading the details, some of those details definitely stuck out. So something told me just deep within me that this was unusual. So my then partner, investigator, Jack Ackerman, and I went to the park, probably right around lunchtime on January 4th.
I had a feeling as a mother, it was my intuition that something very bad had happened.
On January 3rd, 2018, the day Blaze Bernstein's family realized he was missing, Blaze's sister Bowie recorded a phone call between her father and 20-year-old Sam Woodward, a former high school classmate who says he was one of two people with Blaze the night he disappeared.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bernstein, but your guess is as good as mine.
Woodward said Blaze made plans for a third person to meet up with them in a neighborhood park that night.
Blaze didn't tell me anything about this guy except that he was from OSHA like us.
Really appreciate you calling me and sharing that info. And is it okay if I reach back out to you if I need some help?
Absolutely. I want to find Blaze as much as you do.
When they were talking about meeting another person, I was like, what other person? Who else would my brother, like, be with?
So you want a water? I got a water. What kind of monster you want?
The next day, Orange County Sheriff's investigators bring in Sam Woodward to ask some questions of their own.
You can leave at any time. You're not under arrest or anything like that, okay? We're just trying to find Blaze. Find Blaze. That's it.
As investigators get to know Sam Woodward, they learn that he was living with his parents and working odd jobs.
My goals in life are I just want to start a family. I just want to have enough money to support my kids. I just want to have a wife who loves me and get a good job and go to college.
Woodward says he recently reconnected with Blaze on social media.
He said something like, Sam Woodward. Now, that's a face I haven't seen in a while.
I'm looking for eye contact. I'm looking for his general comfortability to try to gain a sense whether somebody I feel is telling me the truth or telling me a lie.
At some point during the conversation on Snapchat, you decided to meet up.
That is correct.
For Blaze's family, the fact that he went out at all that night was a revelation.
We had dinner actually at the dining room table with everybody. He was supposed to fly back to school. So it was going to be the last time my parents were going to see him for quite a while. There was no indication from him that he was going out that night.
During his interview with police, Woodward said that after he picked up Blaze at his house, they drove around for a while, eventually stopping at Borrego Park.
Borrego Park is in the city of Lake Forest. It's a place where you can take your kids. It also has remote hiking trails that stretch for miles.
At some point, somebody exits the car, right?
Mm-hmm. Did he tell you where he was going? He said he was going to meet the friend that he was talking about.
Just like in that call with Blaze's father, Woodward told officers that Blaze was meeting another friend at the park that night. Woodward says he stayed behind as Blaze walked away and disappeared out of sight.
At one point, I heard voices raised in the distance somewhere, but I mean, that happens to my neighborhood all the time. You hear like girls screaming, like, ah! And all that. And so I didn't really pay much mind to it.
But I wanted him to feel comfortable talking to me, and he was.
Woodward says he looked for Blaze, but eventually gave up and went home.
I mean, I don't know what happened to him, but something must have.
All that matters is that we find him and we get him back to his family safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially her talking to his parents, because his parents are really nice people.
After several hours of questioning, Sam Woodward left. But police, they remained suspicious, so they decided to put him under surveillance.
I'm trying to record it right now. There was a large team that was deployed into the field, and we followed him anywhere that he went.
And with this growing cause of concern for Blaze Bernstein comes the glare of the media spotlight. The Blaze Bernstein missing persons case is now big news.
The Orange County Sheriff's Department searched the park, but they haven't seen any signs of Blaze.
Blaze was supposed to be in school this morning. He was supposed to fly back Sunday, go to class today, but instead he's missing.
I remember going with my dog to Borrego Park before and kind of just like walking around to see like, what if I find him here?
Bowie documented that desperate period of time with pictures and videos posted on her Snapchat.
Our congregation went into high gear. We printed flyers with his name and picture and the facts and who to call, and we put them up on bulletin boards and poles all around the city.
At this point, it's now in the hands of the police.
Mm-hmm.
But you continue to work.
Yes.
Now you take to social media.
Around the clock. You know, it looked like war games in this house. We had terminals all over the dining room table, and we were all just working.
There was an immediate firestorm of attention to this case. We were absolutely inundated with tips from the public. There were hundreds within the first week, and then that grew exponentially.
Some of our contacts were friends with some of the celebrities that were willing to post it on their social media. And so we had the missing persons flyer out for Blaze on, Kobe Bryant's Facebook page, and Charlie Puth, who put it out there, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So it started to catch a lot of attention.
We were spending every minute talking about it. People were filming in our house, interviewing my parents. Nothing like this ever happened where we were.
Any sign of him, any clothing, obviously him. We're hoping to find him, hoping that he's just incapacitated and in need of some medical assistance so that we can get him and bring him home safely.
There was like this team of people with drones, and they were going throughout Whiting Ranch Wilderness Park, where we were concerned maybe my brother was back there, and maybe there was a mountain lion, or maybe like something happened to him and he was missing or lost.
For the fourth night in a row, the Bernstein family will go to sleep without their oldest son at home.
It was clear as the week wore on that it was more and more dire.
There's a lot of pressure, immense pressure to perform.
Then, on January 9th, with Blaze missing for 7 days now, a discovery which upends the case.
Jack and I were teamed up. Jack said, "Dylan."
You heard it in his voice.
I could hear it in his voice.
We're going to turn now to those new developments in the mysterious disappearance of an Ivy League student.
19-year-old Blaze Bernstein missing while home for winter break.
The Sheriff's Department launched an extensive search with help from the community.
Days had passed since Blaze vanished into the night. The relentless search by police and volunteers had turned up nothing. Just more anguish for the Bernsteins and frustration for authorities.
The Orange County Sheriff's Department searched the park, but they haven't seen any signs of Blaze.
We utilized cadaver dogs. We utilized drones. We had been to Borrego Park and searched that park over and over again with a fine-tooth comb.
On January 9th, a week after Blaze went missing, investigators decided to go back to Borrego Park one more time after obtaining cell phone data showing Blaze and Sam Woodward were there together.
And this is a week after Blaze went missing.
Yeah, it led us to this particular area when all of a sudden Blaze Bernstein's phone at that point in time turned off.
So they'd been together, and suddenly Blaze goes dark.
Blaze goes dark, and then Sam Woodward's phone continues. There was a torrential downpour. It was cold, it was raining, everything was wet, everything was muddy. We searched all this area until my partner Jack and I came to this area right here.
I saw a spot that looked unusual. So I walked down. There was a large tree branch covering an area that looked a little odd, like the rain had kind of settled some dirt around something. I moved the tree branch, and you could see the left hip and upper left leg area of a human body.
And you knew?
Knew.
Had to be him.
Instantly. In my gut, without even seeing the face. And I knew that it was Blaze Bernstein.
They must have found his cell phone as well.
We located a broken cell phone about probably 6 inches, 8 inches below where the body was found.
I was sitting in my English class in 8th grade, and the teacher got a call, and he was like, "Bowie, you're gonna go to the office, they need you for something." And I was like, "Oh, good, maybe some good news." And they took me into this room, and I saw my godmother. She was crying. And I looked at her, and she just hugged me, and she said, "They found him. He is dead. Blaze is gone."
To the index in the body of a college student found in Lake Forest, California. Blaze Bernstein had disappeared 1 week ago. The case now a homicide.
That was the end of hope for me.
We started off this journey over a week ago, looking for our son and asking for everyone to help us find Blaze Bernstein. And we just have learned that they have positively identified our son Blaze's body today.
I just felt so numb, like nothing that had happened in my life had mattered anymore. And then when I got home, my dad was just like, he was just defeated, but he just said, like, "It's gonna be okay. Like, we have each other, it's gonna be okay." Sorry.
The specific details of what occurred at Borrego Park are part of the ongoing investigation.
The autopsy revealed injuries which I believe were a result of an extremely violent encounter. Blaze was stabbed 14 times in the left side of his neck, 5 times on the right side of his neck. He was stabbed, in the knee. He had defensive wounds all over his fingers. He was fighting for his life, and probably a surprise attack.
You hear about that many stab wounds. What does it tell you about the person or the mindset of the person who did that?
Hate and rage. Intimate. It was an intimate killing.
It was devastating news for the family and for the community.
My reaction when I heard it was fury, anger, disbelief. I haven't felt those feelings in my life.
As the investigation into Blaze's murder began, hundreds gathered for a vigil in his honor.
We lost one of our sons. I hope that we can all join together and support the Bernstein family.
The funeral was incredibly painful. We had to ask for RSVPs because we could only accommodate here in the building about 1,100 or 1,200 people. And then there was a public service at the largest space we have in Orange County a few weeks after the funeral, in the 3,000 seats, and that was full.
I believe most people are good.
Students from Blaze's Performing Arts High School chose to sing Luke Bryan's song, Most People Are Good.
I see a lot of goodness here, and I hope that we can bring more tolerance, more peace, understanding, and love to everything that we do and make a better world for our children. Thank you.
The community wrapped its arms around the Bernstein family. The park near their house where Blaze played as a child and where his body was found turned into a makeshift memorial with messages of love and support from all over the world.
This is a note somebody left us. Dear Lord, please watch over the Bernstein family and give them strength during this time. Please guide our police department to help them find the person or persons who took Blaze away. We still needed answers because we didn't have anybody in custody. In my mind, the hunt was still on.
But for investigators, the hunt would become far more complex because they've discovered that the night of the murder, Blaze's best friend received a text message from Blaze's phone saying, quote, "I did something really horrible for the story, but also no one can ever know," end quote. Blaze's friend responds, "What story?" but gets nothing back.
That was the last text message that was sent from his phone.
The last text message from the phone of a murder victim is always going to be of critical importance to a homicide investigator.
We are 6.5 years since my son was killed.
Blaze is ready. Blaze the trail.
We are all going through our own personal hell right now.
Blaze Bernstein was found with 28 stab wounds.
You hear about that many stab wounds. What does it tell you about the person or the mindset of the person who did that?
A lot of anger somewhere from within, and he took it out on Blaze Bernstein.
Did I introduce him to something that later on came back to haunt us all?
And not only was this just a murder, now we're starting to see a bigger picture.
What do you make of the fact that it's very possible that a neo-Nazi killed Blaze in the United States?
He's the grandson of a Holocaust survivor. This can happen anywhere.
There was almost like a gasp from some people.
Police believe they know who killed Blaze Bernstein.
Were you planning to kill him that night?
I hope that we can all join together and support the Bernstein family.
We're hoping for better results, but yesterday afternoon, sheriff's investigators did find the body of Blaze Bernstein.
19-year-old Blaze Bernstein was first reported missing by his family on January 3rd, 2018. But after a week-long search, he was found dead in a park near his parents' Orange County, California home.
As this investigation moves from search and rescue to a homicide investigation, we ask for your continued support in providing tips and information to the Orange County Sheriff's Department.
As investigators search for answers about who had killed Blaze and why, his parents Jeannie and Gideon flew east to Philadelphia to begin a grim task: cleaning out Blaze's apartment on the campus of the University of Pennsylvania. The grief-stricken Bernstein family invited us to go with them for this emotional and difficult journey.
This is the apartment building that my son moved into. He's on.
Let's first look at his mail.
5 days before he came home to California.
It's been hard especially for Jeannie, to come here, having to go and, basically clean up your child's life after they're gone.
And the kitchen was meticulous. I mean, he had every appliance and everything. I loved his apartment. It was so beautiful. It was so Blaze.
This is the Whisk sweatshirt that my brother got. He was an editor for the Pen Appetit magazine. We were going through his closet and we found it, and I was like, I'm gonna take that.
We had an opportunity to meet Blaze's friends. We will be here for you forever, and we appreciate your friendship.
I'm delighted that Blaze had them in his life, because I know that they all made him very happy.
You would have loved this. Yeah. He used to wear this all the time.
I know.
Oh, that my dad.
Blaze was someone that you can trust with anything, and I trusted him with my life. It was the parent that Blaze was figuring out himself, whether it be religion or sexuality or experience.
At what point as parents did you realize that Blaze was gay?
I had an idea about it when he was probably early high school. I saw something on a phone or that he didn't want me to see, and it kind of confirmed a suspicion that I had, and I think he knew that I had seen it.
We actually had a conversation while he was back at college, and he was telling us essentially, yeah, I am gay, but I just don't want to talk about it.
Did people at school know? Was he?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think his friends knew at school.
Because Blaze was so open about his sexuality with me, I feel like that definitely gave him a better foundation. So if he was to go to his parents and his family and open up about that part of his life, he would have known that we were all there for him.
You noticed that too? Yeah. I took a picture of it. In the mirror.
As a mother of a gay man, I am proud to be that.
Blaze is ready. Blaze the trail.
You feel like, like an artist, that you have spent your lifetime sculpting this amazing piece of artwork, and then it gets destroyed. And so here we are. Our artwork is gone. Hard to accept.
Back home in California, the investigation continued, and the focus remained on Blaze's former high school classmate, Sam Woodward, the person who admitted to driving with him to Borrego Park.
We have interviewed that friend several times. That person is not in custody, and we are not prepared to comment on persons of interest at this time.
When Orange County Sheriff's investigator Dylan Jansen first spoke with Woodward the day after Blaze was reported missing, he says Woodward seemed nervous and told different versions of where at Borrego Park he and Blaze went that night. And Jansen says Woodward had what appeared to be injuries on his hands.
Those cuts in your hands, they look pretty gnarly. I mean, how do you think you got those from the fight club?
Sam said he was involved with a fight club. He said that he sustained these cuts to his hands after somebody was clawing at him during one of the fights.
When I swung at him, I kind of fell on my ass.
and I usually try and have my hands to break my fall for me, and so I landed on some rocks.
You know, I've heard of fight clubs, but I didn't believe it. Anytime that Sam Woodward was walking around the station, when he touched the doorknobs, he would cover his hands with the sleeves of his sweatshirt. Is he attempting to cover up fingerprints? Is he attempting to cover up DNA? It was definitely something that stood out.
Nearly a week after that interview with police, when Blaze's body was found, investigators went looking for Sam Woodward once again.
Investigators said that when they searched Woodward's bedroom, there was some damning evidence. They found a knife with blood on the handle and on the tip of the blade. They also found bloodstains on a sleeping bag outside his window and on the driver's side of his car.
The knife that was found in Sam Woodward's room, the areas of the vehicle that had apparent blood in it, the sleeping bag that was found on the side of Sam Woodward's home, they were all tested for DNA, and those results concluded to be the blood from Blaze Bernstein.
With this new evidence, police are now ready to make an arrest.
Under arrest, 20-year-old Samuel Lincoln Woodward suspected of killing Blaze Bernstein.
Police say DNA evidence led them to arrest the 19-year-old's former high school classmate.
I remember thinking to myself, that's the guy that was on the phone.
I want to find Blaze as much as you do.
At the time, I thought, I wonder what my brother was thinking before he died. I wonder if he was in pain, or I wonder if he could have saved himself. And I think once Sam was arrested, I knew my brother didn't have a chance.
But something authorities were playing pretty close to the vest was motive. Why would Sam Woodward want to kill Blaze Bernstein? As the days unfolded, investigators would confront a possibility they hadn't even originally contemplated.
Not only was this murder, we're starting to see a bigger picture. It was absolutely shocking.
This morning, the Orange County District Attorney's Office filed one felony count of murder against 20-year-old Newport Beach resident Samuel Woodward.
Before joining ABC News, I spent 26 years as a deputy district attorney in the Orange County DA's office. And for a time, I was one of the prosecutors consulting on this case. Sam Woodward was taken into custody 10 days after Blaze went missing and 3 days after his body was found.
There was the victim's DNA on property that was in the control of the defendant.
Well, I remember that moment well. I was sitting in my room. I think I was watching it on television, and I just thought to myself, it's finally happened. Now what?
With the knowledge of how Blaze was murdered, now an excruciating reality for the Bernsteins, the focus turned to why.
Blaze was stabbed nearly 20 times in the neck. Using a knife to kill is particularly violent because you have to be up so close. That many wounds says this was likely a crime of rage or of passion, more personal than your typical murder. So as a prosecutor, my next question would be, who is Sam Woodward and what was his relationship with Blaze?
I had no clue why Blaze would be meeting with Sam. You know, they were never really friends in school. I just know that everybody else got bad vibes from him.
Woodward grew up in Newport Beach, the wealthy suburb south of LA in Orange County. He was a Cub Scout and Eagle Scout, and as we know, Woodward spent part of his high school years at OSHA, the same elite art school where Blaze had also been a student.
It took me a couple of minutes as I watched the footage. It started to dawn on me, oh my God, that's the Sam I taught. Every kid in my acting for the camera class, it was film work. So I said, everybody pick your favorite movie and bring me a scene or a monologue from that film. And he said, I want to do something from the Army. So I gave him Brad Pitt's speech in Inglourious Bastards.
As a bushwhacking guerrilla army, we're going to be doing one thing and one thing only: killing Nazis.
The provocative Quentin Tarantino World War II thriller is about a plan to assassinate Nazi leaders by a band of Jewish soldiers.
It weighs heavily on me. Did I introduce him to something that later on came back to haunt us all?
A.C. Thompson, an investigative reporter for ProPublica, uncovered some disturbing information when digging into Woodward's background.
When I started reporting on Sam Woodward, what really stuck out to me was this. Sam Woodward was a member of the Atomwaffen Division, which was a neo-Nazi terrorist group that aimed to bring down the U.S. government and incite a race war.
Race war now! Atomwaffen posted violent propaganda videos online to spread a message of hate and to help recruit new members.
The Atomwaffen Division was a neo-Nazi group that existed from about 2015 to 2020. They were inspired by Charles Manson. They were also inspired by Tim McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber. They weren't interested in protests or marching in the streets. They wanted to kill people.
That organization was hell-bent on destroying America within, taking down the system.
My reporting team and I got access to thousands and thousands of private chat messages that were between members of the Atomwaffen group. Sam Woodward was one of the people in these chats.
Writing in the chats under the alias Saboteur, Woodward spewed anti-Semitic, anti-gay, misogynist hate.
When we executed the search warrants on several electronic devices, including computers and cell phones and laptops, there were thousands of images of white supremacist propaganda and hundreds of images to include the Atomwaffen Division.
But Woodward's interest in Atomwaffen apparently went beyond just talk in a chat room. Also found on Sam Woodward's devices was a picture with James Mason. He's a neo-Nazi whose writings Atomwaffen members describe as a main influence on the group, along with a photo of Woodward in a skull mask giving the Nazi salute.
Now we're starting to see a bigger picture. Not only was this just a murder, there's a high probability that Sam Woodward killed Blaze Bernstein because he was homosexual, possibly because he was Jewish, or a combination of both.
I'm here to announce the Orange County District Attorney's Office will file an amended complaint, a hate crime enhancement accusing Woodward of intentionally committing first-degree murder, due in whole or in part to Blaze's sexual orientation. We will prove that Woodward killed Blaze because Blaze is gay.
What do you make of the fact that it's very possible that a neo-Nazi killed Blaze in the United States?
Yeah, if that's the case, that's going to be the biggest tragedy of this story.
He's the grandson of a Holocaust survivor. This can happen anywhere. You aren't safe from this type of hate.
But something else that's still not adding up, how were Blaze Bernstein and Sam Woodward connected? They were both from Orange County, but Blaze, a young gay Jewish man, and Woodward, a member of a neo-Nazi group, seemed to have nothing else in common. Why were they together that night in the first place? Sam Woodward would have his day in court with a stunning new look and a surprising defense. While Sam Woodward was arrested for killing Blaze Bernstein in January 2018, it would take 6 years for him to face a jury. Woodward was charged with first-degree murder, a hate crime. He pleaded not guilty.
19-year-old Blaze Bernstein was stabbed repeatedly and killed back in 2018, and now, 6 years later, that trial finally begins today.
By the time the trial was starting, I'd already left the DA's office, but I was watching the proceedings closely.
Still, no one seems prepared for the Sam Woodward that has led into Judge Kimberly Menager's courtroom.
There was almost like a gasp from some people, just to kind of that visceral reaction to kind of seeing him. Long, dark, stringy hair, long, dark beard, covering his face. It's hard not to kind of draw mental comparisons to Charles Manson.
Blaze Bernstein was found with 28 stab wounds.
Senior Deputy District Attorney Jennifer Walker's opening statements tell the story of a young man who they say set out to murder 19-year-old Blaze Bernstein in cold blood. That hate crime charge, she explains, that was brought because prosecutors believed the evidence showed Sam Woodward murdered Blaze because he was gay, but not because he was Jewish.
You'll see the cell phone evidence, the defendant's words, the defendant's hate.
But in his opening statements, defense attorney Ken Morrison did something we definitely don't see every day by making a stunning admission.
My client, Sam Woodward, was responsible for that death. The why is the single most important issue you will need to decide.
This is no longer a trial about guilt or innocence. The question now becomes, did Woodward plan the killing because of a hatred of gay people? Was it premeditated? If the jury agrees, that could mean a first-degree murder conviction and most likely a sentence of life without the possibility of parole.
Morrison argues for a lesser charge of voluntary manslaughter and an acquittal of the hate crime allegation, which would result in a reduced sentence and a chance for parole.
The evidence will show that Blaze Bernstein's sexual orientation had absolutely nothing to do with the reason he was killed.
Jennifer Walker calls her first witnesses, Blaze Bernstein's parents. Gideon Bernstein now faces down the man who killed his son as he recounts the painful moments when the family first realized that Blaze was missing.
You remember where you were when you got the phone call?
I do remember that, yes.
And why does that stand out in your mind?
Because it was the beginning of hell.
Jennifer Walker then brings an Orange County Sheriff's deputy to the stand to describe what he watched Sam Woodward do on January 5th, 2018, after police decided to put Woodward under surveillance.
What did you observe?
I observed him what appeared to be cleaning his vehicle, the interior and exterior.
He had in his possession what looked like a spray bottle of cleaning product.
Scrubbing the driver's side door.
It was very strange to us. What was he cleaning? Why?
Jennifer Walker then digs into the heart of her hate crime argument, portraying Sam Woodward as somebody who changed from Eagle Scout to neo-Nazi.
He had developed his long-standing beliefs against Jewish people and gay people and started joining groups that espoused the views that he had.
This is where Woodward's involvement in the extremist group Atomwaffen becomes key for the prosecution. Investigators say they found these images on Woodward's personal devices.
The prosecution calls an ex-member to the stand whose voice has been altered and his face obscured at the request of the court. He's also using an alias.
Good morning, Mr. Murphy.
Good morning.
Prosecutors allege that Woodward sought out the group, and once there, the fires of his hatred were further stoked as he attended multiple meetings.
So this summer of 2017, Austin, Texas, tell us what you and Sam Woodward did.
We took propaganda photos. That involved us throwing up Nazi salutes. Put the Atomwaffen logo on the photos, for propaganda purposes.
The prosecution also presents what Woodward himself labels Sam's diary of hate, emails he sent to himself over a 7-month period in 2017.
The prey that the defendant had chosen was gay people. And he kept a diary of his feelings and intentions.
And who did the prosecution allege that he was, quote, hunting? Well, they say that Sam Woodward had been visiting online dating sites to connect with gay men.
Downloaded Grindr so I could send photos of their fellow sodomites getting killed and tell them that they're going to be next. They're terrified, LMAO. This is too much fun. They think they're going to get hate crimed, and it scares the out of them.
And this is how the prosecution claims Sam Woodward targeted Blaze. While he was hunting for victims on the dating app Tinder, The two men first connected on the app in June of 2017, 3 years after they'd been classmates at OSHA. And then again, the night Blaze disappeared. The last exchange is allegedly what led to their encounter in Borrego Park.
And then here is where the luring starts. And the defendant says, "Is anyone near you right now? Because I just wanted to say." And Blaze says, "Nope." "No, what?" "No one is near me." And the defendant says, "I might make an exception for you." And the defendant says, "Look, do you have Snap?" And then we have Blaze snapping his address to the defendant at 10:37 p.m. on January 2nd of 2018.
According to prosecutors, the trap had been set and Blaze stumbled right into it that night when he agreed to meet up with Sam Woodward.
But when it's the defense's turn to present its case, jaws will drop in the courtroom because the star witness will be the defendant himself, Sam Woodward. And the crux of the defense's case, that Sam had a secret and would go to any lengths to hide it, even if he had to kill.
He kept saying something that I can only remember as, "I got you already. I got you, I got you."
Today we're going to another day of court. It's definitely a challenge emotionally and mentally to get up and just have to go and do this.
We are 6.5 years since my son was killed. We are all going through our own personal hell right now. The prosecution rested last week, and we're now listening to defense witnesses.
Sam Woodward's defense attorney, Ken Morrison, is making his case.
Sam did not hate Blaze for any reason.
Remember, the defense has acknowledged that 26-year-old Sam Woodward killed Blaze Bernstein, but they insist it was neither a premeditated murder nor a hate crime.
You will also hear lots of additional evidence that helps to explain why this homicide was committed.
But just as Morrison starts laying out his case, the defense team is dealt a blow. The judge rules that some evidence is inadmissible, including that mysterious last text message sent from Blaze's phone on the night of the murder. "I did something really horrible for the story, but also no one can ever know."
The jury then hears how Sam Woodward was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, which the defense says hindered his ability to make and maintain friendships and contributed to Sam's acute sense of isolation and loneliness.
This helps to explain how starved Sam was for the camaraderie, the brotherhood, and acceptance, and how profoundly vulnerable he was to recruitment into groups like Atomwaffen.
The defense claims Sam Woodward's participation in Atomwaffen wasn't as much about ideology as it was about connecting with others and just having a good time. Morrison calls former Atomwaffen member Tyler Wiesing to the stand.
So would you characterize the camp as very serious in terms of the ideology, goals, training, that sort of thing?
That was the intent and the image. In the reality, it was a bunch of people getting drunk and not taking things seriously.
As for those Tinder messages, well, the prosecution argued that Sam Woodward was online to hunt and terrorize victims. Morrison says that never happened, and he argues that in this case, it was Blaze who pursued Sam.
June 15, 2017, Blaze Bernstein saw Sam's profile on Tinder, and Blaze Bernstein initiated the first contact with Sam Woodward, not the other way around. And then Sam says, "Thing is, you're not too shabby looking yourself, Blaze." Blaze says, "Ah, well, thanks, Sam. That's sweet of you." An emoji. Sam says, "Yeah." You're cute, TBH, to be honest.
According to the defense, Sam Woodward was repressing his own feelings of homosexuality, which could help explain the reason behind, quote, Sam's diary of hate.
He's trying to kind of keep this as like this hidden away part of his life, that these hate diary entries are simply narrative constructs to cover up that part of him should Atomwaffen members get suspicious.
Morrison argues that Sam Woodward was tortured by his sexual identity because of what he claims he heard at home. He calls Woodward's mother, Michelle, to the witness stand.
Ms. Woodward, was it ever communicated to your children that homosexuality is a sin?
Yes.
And who communicated that?
My husband.
The defense calls James Markle to the stand, please.
Family friend James Markle tells the court about an incident he says Michelle recounted to him about Sam's father, Blake.
Was there any particular word that Michelle Woodward told you that she would hear Blake call Sam?
He would say, he would say, gay.
But when called to the stand, Sam Woodward's father, Blake, denies using any homophobic slurs.
Would you make derogatory remarks about homosexual people in Sam's presence?
No. But ultimately, the case would hinge on the testimony of the one person who was there the night Blaze Bernstein was killed, Sam Woodward.
The defense is calling up Samuel Woodward.
For the defense, calling their client to testify is a risky move. It can be viewed as a Hail Mary or as a very shrewd tactic to play on the jury's sympathies.
And Mr. Woodward, can I ask you if you're able to move the hair out of your face a little bit?
Sam Woodward's defense attorney, Ken Morrison, takes Woodward through the story of his life, arriving at a key question.
Sam, was there ever a time in your life that you can recall where you wondered whether you might be gay?
No. No, I can't say really there was, no.
This may have just blown up Ken Morrison's defense, which hinges on the argument that Sam Woodward was struggling with his sexual identity. And that will become hugely important because of what Morrison is about to argue Blaze did that night, which he says provoked the attack.
You will learn that Blaze Bernstein was not killed because of who he was, but because of what he did to Sam Woodward after they met up.
What will Sam Woodward say happened that night?
When you drove to Blaze Bernstein's house to pick him up, Sam, were you planning to kill him that night?
It's day 28 in the trial of Sam Woodward, and defense attorney Ken Morrison is questioning his client about the night that he and Blaze ended up in Borrego Park.
I'm pretty sure I said we should hang out at some point, or rather it'd be cool if you wanted to, and right after that, he said to me that he was actually free this night right now, and at that point, I said, all right, cool.
Sam Woodward testifies that after picking up Blaze near his house, the two men eventually arrived at the park. There, on a bench, Woodward claims the night took a dark turn.
Woodward said he smoked some marijuana, was starting to kind of get drowsy, kind of nod off. He feels something and opens his eyes.
I saw a hand right on my crotch with my pants unbuckled. I looked right up and I saw him, and he had his phone in his hand. He kept saying something that I can only remember as, I got you already. I got you, I got you, I got you, I got you, hypocrite. I heard him maybe use the word outed, in the same sentence. I couldn't exactly remember.
If Sam Woodward is to be believed, Blaze was threatening him, and that's what made Woodward snap.
What, if anything, did you think he was doing with his cell phone?
I thought he might photograph me. I thought he might send text messages. I thought he might be trying to record me.
So at any point in time, did you see Blaze actually appear as though he was texting any messages?
Yes.
Sam Woodward says his fear was that there had been an image or video taken and that his family would learn about it.
I grew up in a home with my mother and my father and my brother. Loved them more than I can almost speak about. My father, though, if he'd heard about something like that got out somehow, I couldn't fathom that.
Sam Woodward then describes how he says things escalated.
I found one of the knives that I had used to open up the container of marijuana. I just kept driving and driving and driving and driving the knife down.
When you say driving the knife down, Sam, were you stabbing Blaze?
At that point, yes, I was.
In an effort to try to dispel any argument that this was a hate crime, Morrison asked Sam Woodward two final questions.
When you drove to Blaze Bernstein's house to pick him up, Sam, were you planning to kill him that night?
No, not at all.
Did you hate him because he was gay?
No, not at all.
But now, here's where the gamble of putting Woodward on the stand could either pay off or lose big.
Okay, so walk me through it, sir.
On cross-examination, Jennifer Walker attacks Woodward's credibility.
The left side of his neck was closest to you, right? If he's sitting to your right?
Everything was a blur.
Well, how did you stab him 14 separate times on the left side of his neck when he was sitting right next to you?
I can't remember.
And how did you stab him 5 separate times on the right side of his neck when he was sitting to your right?
I can't remember.
After a trial full of fits and starts, spanning almost 3 months, the case goes to the jury. The jury deliberates for about 8 hours.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Samuel Woodward, guilty of the crime of first-degree murder.
It's an emotional moment, even for the court clerk.
A felony and violate. Just 1 second.
Sure.
I've prosecuted a lot of murder cases, and I can't say I've ever seen a court clerk react like that.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find it to be true that the defendant, Samuel Woodward, committed hate crime, first-degree murder.
We are thrilled with the verdict, which holds Samuel Woodward accountable for the brutal, violent, painful murder of our son. Justice has been served. Thank you.
Breaking news now, an emotional afternoon in an Orange County courtroom. The sentencing has just been handed down for the man convicted in the hate crime murder of Blaze Bernstein.
This time the court does sentence the defendant to state prison for the term prescribed by law, which is life without the possibility of parole.
The jury said that they saw this as a hate crime and that hate was not going to get you anywhere in this world.
In the 7 years since Blaze Bernstein's murder, the family of Sam Woodward has never spoken out beyond their court testimony. But the Bernsteins say the Woodwards did leave something for them back in 2018.
Have they reached out to you, by the way?
Yeah.
We found a note under our doormat.
What did it say, this note?
Orange County Sheriff's investigator Sergeant Dylan Jansen knows Borrego Park a lot better than he would like to. In the initial days of the investigation, how many hours would you say you spent at this park here?
Countless. I spent a lot of time over here just
looking, thinking, analyzing, you know, what was the truth, what's not the truth.
We may never know exactly what happened the night Blaze was murdered or what that last text message meant. But Sergeant Jansen can answer one question based on the evidence.
That cell phone, even though it was damaged, we were able to send it to various companies to restructure the cell phone and extract any and all information on there.
Were there any pictures of that night?
No. No.
This park is pretty meaningful for you.
So we stop here and go check out the garden of rocks that are now over in the corner.
Do you feel that you get a little bit of closure each time you put one more rock down?
I don't even know what closure is when you lose a child. I think maybe closure for me will be just being able to look at all of these things and be happy.
Almost 7 years after I walked in Borrego Park with the Bernsteins, the memorial of painted stones honoring their son has blossomed. Jeannie and Gideon have both moved away from Foothill Ranch, but they tell me they still find solace in this place.
In the Jewish tradition, it is a thing that you put rocks at a gravesite.
And there's a permanence to it.
It gives us some feeling of connection to people, the people that will hear our story and understand the importance of eradicating hate in this world. This is about love.
Since 2018, the Bernsteins have been building a movement. They call it Blaze It Forward.
The Blaze It Forward campaign was based off the idea that as a community, we can make a difference and we can change the way that this world works. We were able to take that in my brother's honor to try and encourage people to just do one good thing every day.
They participate in local pride parades, and Jeannie hosts a podcast featuring people doing good in the world. Sam Woodward's parents, Blake and Michelle Woodward, never responded to an interview request with ABC News, but they did write a letter to the court submitted at sentencing. It reads, in part, "In the past, you could look into Sam's eyes and be surprised at the level of sensitivity and warmth. It's one of his best traits. Now, he's too vulnerable to let you look him in the eyes. He committed a crime, but he is not a person without value, unworthy of respect."
Speaking about the Woodward parents, they left a note at your house in 2018, right?
They did. At the time, I thought it was infuriating because one of the things that they said in that letter was that that both families are going through a hard time right now. I don't think that she had any idea how hard of a time we were having.
But there's another letter that holds more meaning for Jeannie and Gideon, discovered after the trial, tucked among the colorful painted stones of Blaze's memorial.
This is a copy of a note that was left for us in the park by one of the jurors. She basically says in this letter to Blaze that she's really sorry that she didn't get to know him.
Thank you everyone for coming to class today.
So Blaze would be 27. Do you ever think about what he would be like today had he lived?
He'd be doing something fantastic. I know that about Blaze, and he'd be making people happy. That's what he did. Blaze is always on my mind. I think about him from the minute I wake up until I go to bed at night. He was my person.
You take it. It's on record.
He was a piece of man. He's gone. But I'm still here, and whatever he's done to make an impact on this world is what we're going to leverage and try to make sure that people never forget about our son and what happened.